Hello and welcome to Literary Lair. I'm Michael, and today I have a special treat for you. 2 alternate histories for the price of 1. Yes, last time we looked at Making History, which is a funny book, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and today we're going to look at a Stephen King novel. It's about a guy that goes back in time to stop Lee Harvey Oswald from assassinating Kennedy. I've gotten a recommendation for this Stephen King novel from 2 people. One of my friends, who is at this link, and the Unshelved Book Club, which is at this link. It's a library-themed webcomic, and the book club part updates on Fridays, but from Monday to Thursday, it's an actual webcomic. So, without further ado, let's see if the world would be better off with John F. Kennedy surviving Dallas, 1963. The cover is pretty interesting, to be honest. It shows Stephen King, 11/22/63, a novel. That part's on a red background, and under it, it shows a newspaper that says JFK slain in Dallas, LBJ takes oath, and the date is Saturday, November 23rd, 1963, the day after Kennedy's assassination, and 10 cents. Man, it costs like 75 cents for a paper today. Wish I lived back then. And on the back cover, it shows the same newspaper, but it says, JFK escapes assassination, First Lady also okay. So this shows that he survived. And without further ado, let's get into the book. Jake Epping is a recently divorced high school English teacher, who also teaches a GED class in Lisbon Falls, Maine. Hold on. Mr. King, why do you like Maine so much? It's like Langoliers, Maine. Everything is in Maine with you. Can you pick another state? I hear Boston's pretty nice. You know, Massachusetts? Whatever. This story is told in the first-person narrative, which I really like, because when you're reading it in the first person, you become the character. Like, when you're reading it, when they're saying, I did this, you feel like you did it, which I really like in books. And he assigns the GED class with an essay titled, The Day That Changed My Life. One of the students, a learning-impaired janitor named Harry Dunning, writes about how his alcoholic father murdered his mother and siblings and severely injured him on Halloween night in 1958. Jake is deeply affected by the story and gives Harry an A+, and which means Harry earns his GED. That is what's called a watershed moment. Jake isn't a crier, but this essay brings him to tears, which will influence later events in the story. 2 years later, Al Templeton, proprietor of a local diner which Jake frequents, and who I believe would look like Al the bartender from the last episode of Quantum Leap, mysteriously summons Jake at the end of the school year. Jake is shocked to see that in less than 24 hours, Al has apparently become deathly ill, and has seemed to have aged 4 years. Al shows Jake a time portal located in the back of his diner's pantry, which always leads to September 9, 1958, at 11:58 a.m. Jake spends an hour in 1958, and then returns to 2011 to find out that only 2 minutes have passed. The only person near the portal in 1958 is a drunken, disheveled man whom Al has dubbed the Yellow Card Man, because of the yellow card stuck in his hatband. The Yellow Card Man has seemed to be the only other person who is aware of the time portal, Al had learned that it's possible to change history, but an apparent reset occurs if you go back again, unless you make the same change. Which is how Al can sell burgers at his diner for very cheap but using quality meat. He goes back in time, gets meat from 1958, comes back, goes back in time, gets the meat again, and comes back. After discovering he could change history, Al became obsessed with preventing the assassination of JFK, assuming this would lead to a better world without the Vietnam War or the assassination of Martin Luther King. Ironically, I'm filming this on Martin Luther King Day. I didn't plan for that, but it's an interesting fact. And theoretically, that could be true, but if Red Dwarf showed us, it wouldn't be better. I think JFK would assassinate himself. Al extensively researched the JFK assassination and made a plan to spend 5 years in the past waiting for the opportunity to kill Lee Harvey Oswald during his attempted assassination of General Edwin Walker. But the past is obdurate. It doesn't want to change, throwing up obstacles to prevent the changer from mucking it up. Al and Jake conclude that the resistance is proportional to the historical effects of the change. Like if you wanted to stop a family member from dying in a car accident, it would try to stop you, but it would be a small one. Maybe break your car, but not try to kill you. Al was forced to abort his plan in 1962 after developing terminal lung cancer. Man, is the past a bitch. Also because he had a lifelong habit of smoking cigarettes, but I'm going to say that the past was a bitch. He pleads with Jake to carry out the mission for him. Jake is unsure, but decides to go along with it after a test to see if history would change. Jake decides to use the attack on Harry's family as his test case. So they caught him on the target and they shot him into space. Al gives him a fake ID to create the alias George Amberson, and a supply of 1958 cash he has collected. Jake finds the yellow card man's card has mysteriously turned orange this time. Jake buys a Ford Sunliner, travels to Harry's hometown of Derry, purchases a gun, finds Harry's father Frank, and tracks his movements. Unbeknownst to Jake, he's being stalked by the revenge-bent brother of Dunning's first wife, who Dunning also killed, along with their infant son. Jake isn't able to stop Dunning's attack because the revenge-bent husband stalls, and Jake is unable to get into the house fast enough. But he manages to save everyone but Harry's older brother. After returning to 2011, Jake contacts Harry's sister and learns that Harry was killed in Vietnam. Jake feels guilty for this and doesn't want to go back in time again. Jake goes to meet Al, but he discovers that Al committed suicide by overdosing on his painkillers. Wait. Hold on. Al is an asshole. Jake said he wasn't sure about going back in time again, and Al just decided that he had to make the decision, so he just said, okay, I'm just gonna kill myself. Fuck you, Jake. Have fun killing Lee Harvey Oswald against your choice. I'm sorry, I have to take a break here to figure out why Jake goes back. I'd be like, you asshole. No, fuck it, I'm staying here. Now, I want to apologize for the cursing, but those are the words that came to my mind as I read that, and I wanted you to know. So, Jake has to act quickly before Al's death is discovered, which will result in the demolition of the diner, and presumably the time portal, which we later find out is true. Jake takes Al's notebook, which contains all of Al's research on Oswald, plus the outcomes of long-shot sporting events on which he can keep himself financed.
The information in here is worth millions.
And enters the time portal again. This time the yellow card man has killed himself and the card has turned black. That unsettles him, but he continues. I might as well have just turned around and went back to the portal. Jake buys the same Sunliner and gun, this time kills Dunning well before the attack on his family. He goes to Florida and gets a mail-order bachelor's degree in English from an Oklahoma diploma mill, and spent the remainder of the school year substitute teaching. He then drives to Texas to wait for Oswald's return to the U.S. following his Marine Corps service and attempted defection to Russia. He settles in Jody, a small town located near Dallas, where he's hired for a 1-year probationary period of full-time English teaching for the Denholm Consolidated High School, DCHS for short. He becomes popular with the students and faculty, becomes romantically involved with the school's new librarian, Sadie Dunhill, who has run away from her mentally disturbed, abusive husband. Things start to turn sour for Jake when Sadie becomes suspicious of his use of modern, at least for us in 2013, slang, and singing rock songs that haven't been written yet. When he refuses to confide in her, who he actually is, because he wants to save her from the obdurate past, she angrily breaks off the relationship before traveling to Reno over the summer vacation to divorce her husband. The school principal also discovered George Amberson's mail-order diploma and the holes in his background. By this time, Jake has decided not to renew his teaching contract and leave Jody so he can concentrate full-time on Oswald and keep Sadie out of danger, so the principal lets him go. He rents an apartment across the street from Oswald's future Fort Worth residence and monitors his activities with audio bugs and a shotgun microphone. Through the bugs, Jake witnesses Oswald's abuse of his Russian wife and conflicts with his overbearing mother. And he determines that Lee's mother is dead, and Lee is dressing up like his mother when he kills people. Oh wait, wrong killer. Wonder if Lee Harvey Oswald was in the taxidermy. Whatever. Around this time, Jake reconnects with Sadie and reveals that he's from the future, proving his claim by correctly predicting the outcome of the Cuban Missile Crisis. He eventually reveals his full plan of preventing Kennedy's assassination. Sadie's reluctant to believe him at first, but his love for him leads her to support his efforts. Meanwhile, Jake becomes hesitant to kill Oswald when he sees his friend George de Mohrenschildt. I don't speak Russian or German or any other language besides English, so if I mispronounce any names, I'm sorry. Seemingly eggs on the would-be assassin to kill Walker and Kennedy. Jake is unable to interfere in the Walker attempt when Sadie is disfigured by her psychotic ex-husband, who kills himself. Jake resolves, once he's completed his mission to save Kennedy, to take Sadie back to 2011, where disfigurement can be corrected. But wouldn't people in 2011 be curious to know why a woman just came out of thin air? Well, I guess if they can live with Connor McLeod inheriting a house 5 times, I guess a random woman would just be normal for them. Jake is beaten by a bookie who lost money due to Jake's knowledge of future sporting outcomes, and Jake spends 3 years recovering from the beating and resulting memory loss. He regains his memory just in time for Kennedy's visit Dallas on November 22, 1963. Jake and Sadie race for Dallas and are able to reach Oswald's sniper nest at the Texas School Book Depository, seconds before the fateful moment where Kennedy's motorcade drives past. Jake successfully prevents Oswald from shooting Kennedy, but in a rage, Oswald fires at Jake.
It doesn't smell right. I think he's missed.
Misses and kills Sadie. Okay, so if he missed a guy standing a few inches away from him, how did he shoot Kennedy in the first place? And, of course, Sadie dies. The noise of their confrontation, however, draws the attention of the Secret Service and police, who fire through the window from outside and kill Oswald. But Sadie's still dead, so... Jake becomes a national hero, being personally thanked by Kennedy and his wife, which is pretty damn cool, except for the fact that we know Kennedy wasn't killed by Oswald, but by his alternate future self.
Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to be reborn.
So Kennedy should still be dead, at least by Red Dwarf canon. The FBI suggests that Jake disappear for a time until the situation dies down, which is exactly what Jake wanted to do anyway. Agonized over Sadie's death, Jake resolves to return to 2011 and back to 1958 in order to repeat his journey in order to save both Kennedy and Sadie. But when he leaves Dallas, he learns there's been a massive earthquake in California and thousands have died. He suspects that it's related to his changing history.
But that could just be orbital wobble.
Turning to the portal, he finds that the yellow card man has been replaced by a younger man whose card is green rather than yellow. He reveals himself to be a guardian who explains that there are many other portals in the universe. The portals, he explains, are temporary bubbles in time, which will eventually disappear as the physical environment in which they reside changes, which means if Al's dino's gone, the portal's gone, like Al predicted. The green card man also explains that traveling through the portal doesn't erase the past. It merely creates another universe. The larger the changes, the more universes are created. It's like, you kill Kennedy, and then there's a billion results of what could happen. There's the good result, and then you could have the bad result. A million of them. And the more unstable reality would become. The green, yellow, black card is shown to be similar to a film-bagged dosimeter. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I'll look up for the screw-up video now. Or the doctor's celery, measuring the mental degradation caused by his consciousness of multiple universes, explaining the demise of the original yellow card man. Green is normal sanity, yellow is sanity going, orange is nuts, and black is so crazy that he kills himself. The green card man can do no more than to beg Jake to set things right. When Jake returns to 2011 again, he discovers a lawless dystopia. Really, Stephen King? Can't we just get beyond Thunderdome? He comes across a wheelchair-bound Harry Dunning, who explains the troubled history of the world since 1963. Since Johnson's presidency didn't happen, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 never passed. George Wallace became president in 1968, leading a nuclear war. Historical disruption is exacerbated by an increase in earthquakes, which are expected to destroy the planet.
But that could just be orbital wobble.
Am I using that joke too much? Nah. Jake returns in 1958. The green card man advises him to just go back to 2011 and make sure the portal's closed. Jake struggles with his desire to return to Texas to bring Sadie back with him, but he ultimately decides that he can't risk changing anything. He returned to a basically restored 2011. Al's diner is demolished. He learns that Sadie survived the confrontation with her ex-husband without his interference and pretty much ended up the same. He travels to Jody and meets Sadie as an old woman. He learns that she lived a life marked by charitable and civic contributions, and he gets to dance with her one last time. And that was 11/22/63. Was it a great book? Hell yes. Did it basically prove every theory about Kennedy ending in a dystopia? Pretty much. Wow, that took a lot out of me. And I should say that it's been a year since I made the site. I should really do something to commemorate that. I'm gonna go brainstorm that. What to do? And no, I wasn't paid to say that, I just think it's a pretty awesome comic.